Hey, good morning. Thanks for tuning in to Casual Financial Friday. As I've said before, my name is Matt Atkins. I'm the Senior Financial Advisor for Clearbrook Investment Management and also a National Social Security Advisor certificate holder. So I was reading a study this week by the Alliance for Protected Lifetime Income, and I found it to be incredibly interesting and a little bit troubling, quite frankly, because they've done a study and surveyed a bunch of people here in the United States, and out of the people they surveyed, they found that 80% of those surveyed were either somewhat to extremely anxious about their retirement income. Now, 80% is a big number, and it got me thinking about why people are so anxious and yet so many people do so little in order to deal and prepare for their financial future. I thought about a story a friend told me years ago that had a huge impact on my life, and in the story, he told me about this woman that he had met who was a physician. And just in making conversation with her, he asked her out of curiosity, "Hey, how did you become a doctor?" And she said, "Well, it wasn't the normal path, actually. It's kind of an interesting story. She had been working at a medical office, and one of the doctors at that medical office kept telling her over and over again, you'd make a great physician. You really ought to think about going to medical school." Finishing up, she was a nurse already, so you might as well think about going to medical school and becoming a physician. And finally, kind of out of exasperation one day, she said to this physician, I would be 40 years old before I was able to practice medicine. And the doctor looked at her and said, "You're going to be 40 anyway." And the impact of that story on me was to realize, it's not a matter of whether or not you're going to be 40 or 50 or 60, and I'm knocking on that door in just a couple of years, or 70, or God willing 80 or older. It's really a matter of who you want to be and where you want to be when you get to be that age. I'm telling you, it made me think back to that study I'd been reading and think, the problem so often is that we put off thinking that it's maybe not going to happen, or we put off because we don't know what to do. And the reality is that action is what alleviates anxiety for those kinds of anxious moments. The cure to future anxiety is today's action. And action, honestly, looks different for all kinds of different people. And so that preparation might be different for you than it is for somebody else. Maybe you're a real estate person. You love having rentals. That's awesome. So maybe your preparation is to think about, how am I going to mitigate the capital gains taxes when these properties I have appreciate down the road? Or how am I going to pass them on to my heirs in such a way that doesn't put them in a situation where they have massive capital gains tax? Maybe you own a business, and your best investment has always been to invest in yourself. That's awesome. The question is, how will you pass on that business when the time comes? Is it sellable? And if it's not sellable, maybe your preparation is to make sure it is sellable. For many people, they think that they've got a business, but when in reality, they just have a really good paying job. And if that's the situation, and you would no longer have an income if you were unable to perform your duties, then maybe your preparation is to make sure you have good disability policy in place, because that can safeguard you for the future and alleviate the anxiety that can come later. Maybe you're in a situation where you're wondering, how am I going to create a retirement income for myself at all? And you've never really thought about annuities or about universal life insurance, where you can create a tax-free retirement income for yourself, or a lifetime income through an income annuity. Maybe you've bought into all those Fisher ads that are always talking about how negative annuities are. My encouragement to prepare is do your own research, because those are just ads. And frankly, they're sales tactics. One of his biggest ads is, "We do better if you do better." Well, that's the truth with every fee-based financial advisor. 1% of 100,000 is less than 1% of 110,000. So if your investment makes 10% in a year, guess what? Those of us who are fee-based advisors, we do better when you do better. That's called sales and marketing. That is not research. And there are tremendous research studies on the benefits of income annuities by noted economists. And so if you'd like some of that information, I'm happy to send it on to you, because that can really be helpful in alleviating anxiety for the future. The real question is, who are you going to be when you're 50 or 40 or 70 or even 80? What if you live to be 90 or 95? What if they find a cure for cancer and you can live to be 100? Do you have a retirement income plan in place? Because if you don't have a retirement income plan in place, then your preparation, your action to alleviate anxiety, is to do something today. I'd love to provide you with the study by the Alliance for Protected Lifetime Income. If you're interested, hit me up with an email or a phone call. I'll be glad to send it along to you. Make sure that you give this video a thumbs up, like it, or share it. That would be really helpful. And if you have any comments at all, my information is at the bottom of the screen, and I'd love to hear from you. Hope you have a great weekend. Look forward to talking to you next week.